Hello, work wifey. Welcome to another episode of Dear Work Wives. I'm Adrienne,
And I'm Emily.
your number one and number two work wife girlies.
That's right. Number one and number two. We alternate who's number one and who's number two, if we're being honest
That's
with
right.
you. Yeah. Depends on a lot of
Today,
factors.
I'm number two.
I was going to take that spot, actually. Like, I'd rather that spot if I can.
You want that? You want that today?
Yeah. But it's okay. I can take number one if you need to be number two.
I mean, either works. Today feels like a Monday for me because I've had 2 days of no childcare for Coco Bear. And while it was lovely to spend some time with her, like I've gotten zero things done. So it's just like, it's a Monday for me, you know?
Right. But it's actually Wednesday. So that's great for you. Short week.
Wednesday.
You're like, no, I just have to do 5 days of work in 3.
Exactly. So now I have 3 days to finish the things I wanted to finish
in 5 days
yesterday.
Perfect.
You know,
you're gonna nail it.
And I have 3 days that already had things planned. Yeah, so yes. It'll be fun.
Yeah, I think the best way to tackle that was like definitely chit chatting for a good half an hour before we hit record.
We press record.
But listen,
I had to get my mental health in the right state in order to be able to do these things. You know, sometimes you can be more efficient if your brain is in a better headspace to start. You know 100%. What I mean?
Yeah, and that required chit-chatting.
That required you.
It's like stretching, essentially. We were stretching before the workout.
That's right. You don't want to get hurt, injured.
No. You don't want to push through the pain.
You'd be slower if you didn't stretch, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Can lead to injury, and then you're out for multiple days, distracted. So I feel better, you know?
Good.
All around.
Perfect. That's the goal.
It is the goal. I hope that everyone out there is also feeling better from being here now. You know, they're here with us. So
I hope so.
Brightening
Hi,
their
Mary.
Our one listener.
No, Mary listens. And Sam, my girlfriend Sam, listens every week. Hi, Sam.
We're giving shout outs today.
Yeah.
If you leave a review, we'll give you a shout out.
Oh my gosh.
You could leave a review.
Sam is so funny though. Because Sam, she's like, I listen to New Heights and your podcast. And she doesn't, like, she's a stay-at-home mom. She's like, I don't have a job, but I listen to your podcast every week. She has a job. She has the hardest job. She just doesn't work out. She doesn't have a job outside of the home.
She doesn't have a boss besides her child, which is probably the hardest boss to work for, to be honest.
She's a super mom.
Works for them for the past 2 days. And Coco is in very much a, like, if I ask her to do something, or if I try to do something for her, like if I try to get her a cup, no.
Yeah.
I do.
Oh, I know.
I do. No. I do myself. I'm like, oh, okay.
I'm familiar with her nose, so.
The way that she knows me is
you.
It's like, she's not being mean about it. Like if she was just like, no, then I would be upset and I would probably be like, you know, I'll do this or whatever. Like I'd probably reprimand it or discipline it in some way. But she's just like, no.
No.
I can't help but laugh. Like, I don't know how to parent this child, so I've really just given up, you know?
Well, I mean, you just got to let her do the things, you know? She just wants to get a cup.
I mean, it's not just that, but
I know, I'm sure it's literally everything. I will cut up my dinner with this steak knife. Yeah.
No. Like, Coco, can you get off of the table and not leap? Get off the dining room table and don't leap off into the ground. No. I do it myself. I'm like, okay. And then she laughs at me. So I don't know what to do with her, but she's hilarious and I love her. And she's 2 now. She turned 2 this past week. And we're just anxiously awaiting her spot in daycare she needs some friends. She was like, I took her to the playground yesterday and she sees all the people there and she goes, say hi to the people. hi people. I'm like, oh my God.
Bless her heart. She just wants to go play with her friends.
Yeah, but she doesn't have any, so
Okay.
she needs some.
Soon, it's coming.
It's coming.
Eyelash in my eye. Sorry,
Well,
trigger warning, eye
how's
people.
your eye twitch?
Oh, it's back with a 4. Like it's twitching harder than it's ever twitched. It's definitely like
Stress related?
yeah, but like I always hesitate to say that because we talk about like culture and la la la, but it's like it's definitely stress related.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I mean, you can have a good culture and still have stress.
Yeah.
Like,
you can be a great boss who's trying to like I didn't say work sucked. I just said it's stressful right now. And so is home life. And so
yeah.
You know, it's just a lot.
I feel that.
It's a lot happening at one time.
I also have the eye twitch, so
Rubbed off on you.
I think it's a product of
Also, I'm sure the screen time is not helping.
Yeah.
But it's only one eye.
Yesterday. Oh, same. And like, if you look in the mirror, can you see the eye twitching, or can you just feel it?
I can see it.
You can.
Yeah. My eyelid. I can see it. Like, I'm also looking for it. I don't think anyone else would see it, but I'm like, oh, my eye is twitching. I can see it twitching right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yesterday, because I was like with Coco all day, I was up, we were walking to the playground, we walked to the store, we played, we went outside in the backyard. Like, I don't think I sat down once. And then like at 5, I had to go get Kit and then came home. Like, I literally didn't sit down until 6:30. And I was like, my body is sore like, normally my body's sore because I sit too much in this stupid chair. And like, I have a stand-up desk. I need to use it more of like, I probably should just set a timer of like, stand up now for an hour at least or whatever.
Yeah.
But I had walked like 8 miles by midday just from moving. I was like, this would probably be good for me if I, did this more often, but my body was kind of sore from being up all day.
Yeah.
Probably like being a waitress or something, being a stay-at-home mom. So
exhausting.
Sam, feel you, girl. Can't believe one of our like
top listeners
like doesn't even work in like a formal, job setting. It's kind of funny, huh?
Yeah. She's just a great friend, so she supports.
I love it.
My girlfriend, Danielle, she listens to.
Stories.
Yes.
My coworker threw me under the bus. How do I respond? So me and my coworker are pretty friendly. We talk a lot, joke around, talk about life. He's also usually very helpful and verbally validating that I do a great job. Yesterday, however, it turned out that an instruction he had given me about 2 months ago was incorrect and ended up with us not giving product samples to a few of our buyers and customers. When we all discussed it together as a team, he lied and said he never gave me those instructions and that it must have been someone else. Overall, besides a few upset buyers in the factories we work with, no one got in trouble. But how do I go about working next to this guy? I don't feel like I can trust him at all now. He said nothing to me about straight lying and throwing me under the bus to save his own ass.
If you're close enough with this person, I would go to them and be like, hey, what was that?
Yeah, what was that about?
What was that? I understand that feeling of panic of not wanting to get in trouble. And especially and not knowing how to react and then like looking for the first lifeline. I've definitely worked with people like that who will do anything to save themselves. I think if you had a good relationship leading into this, it's worth what was that all about? Why, we could have shared the blame and
taking responsibility and moved forward.
Created a better process so that it didn't happen again, that sort of thing. Like we could have learned together, grown together from it, and shown together that we are, making sure something like this doesn't happen again. And so you threw me under the bus. I would have the direct conversation. And then if he does not respond well to it, I would keep my distance. Personally.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that like potentially he's a man with amnesia as well.
Maybe.
Right? So like maybe I would have the conversation to better understand, was he doing that maliciously? Or, I mean, this was 2 months ago, like, I don't know how significant of an instruction it was, but like, maybe did he forget that he told you that?
Was it
And then
in writing?
Yeah, like, and then maybe by having this conversation, you could remind him, and he could, and then if he took ownership, then you could move forward.
Yeah.
But I don't know, just be open to the fact that like maybe he forgot and that still does suck, but maybe there's a path forward to trusting him if he takes responsibility in that conversation.
Yeah.
And if not, and if he still like denies it, then I would say just keep him at a distance and
just like be friendly, but just remember that this person can't be trusted with
they're always going to look out for themselves.
Right.
And like, it doesn't even sound like you have a culture where everyone's like getting in trouble for something that happened. Like it sounds like you have a great culture where they were open and willing to learn from the mistake. And so maybe this guy also came from a previous culture where that wasn't the case and he was scared. And so he just like lied.
Panicked.
And
yeah.
And maybe he will own up to it when you talk to him because nothing bad happened. And maybe he saw that afterwards. He still should have probably come to you and said, hey, I messed up. I should have just took ownership,
sorry.
But I'm sorry. And I'm glad you didn't get in trouble, but like that was my fault.
And it won't happen again. You know?
Yeah.
Everyone's allowed to make a mistake, you know? It's how they learn from them.
I think that like have the direct conversation and then see how he responds, and his response will then probably tell you everything you need to know in terms of your relationship moving forward.
Exactly. But everyone deserves that conversation. So give them that opportunity to take ownership now, correct their mistake.
Community. How you cope with or overcome imposter syndrome in your professional life. Any advice or experiences shared would be greatly appreciated.
Sounds like maybe you wrote it in after the conversation we had yesterday.
I did not.
Sounds like maybe you're trying to give me a little tough love.
No, honestly, I picked this story because I feel like my husband could have wrote this right now. You know, like he's kind of struggling.
Yeah.
With imposter syndrome and feeling like, what am I even doing here? You know? And so it's like, oh, it's like a timely fitting conversation. Not that he listens to this podcast, but you know,
mine doesn't.
I thought it was something that I could relate to in terms of someone else going through it. And so I know there must be other people going through that. And no, I did not submit this based on your and my conversation yesterday.
Okay.
But maybe you have a personal shared experience that you would like to share.
No, I'm good. You start.
Okay. So I think that everyone, just to like normalize this, I think that everyone deals with imposter syndrome from time to time. I think it's really normal to feel at points that like, when is everyone going to figure out that like, I don't know what the F I'm doing?
Yeah.
Like I, as the business owner, as like the quote unquote expert that people pay for advice or training from, I feel like this a lot as well. And I'm like, when am I going to get found out? Like, when is everyone going to find out that like, I don't know what I'm doing, you know? And what helps me is like getting reconnected to the work that I do and having wins. So like showing that I am able to help someone, whether that's like a conversation with a client where I'm like helping them move forward and I'm like, oh, okay, I do know what I'm doing. And it's okay. I don't have to know everything, or I don't have to be the best at every single thing just to be valuable here.
Yeah.
And so like looking for your wins and like small wins, I think can be helpful. So one of the things we do at the end of every day is like our daily stand up. And part of it is identifying a win. And I think sometimes it turns into like, and self included, it turns into like, here's the things I did today versus like, what do I feel good about? You know, like what did I really win at, even if it was something small, just to help like build that muscle of like self-recognition and have a, you know, like have the space and place to like toot your own horn, which is so like poo-pooed in society, right? To like don't gloat or brag, but it really does help to self-acknowledge like, oh, okay, I did a good job on this, I, you know, I'm proud of this, etc. I think also just like recognizing it for what it is, like knowing that like imposter syndrome is a thing. And it also shows, to me, it also is a reminder that I care, that like I'm not so narcissistic and egotistical that I think I'm the best at everything and I couldn't learn something new. Like I think that imposter syndrome can help to recognize that I have more to learn and I want to grow and I want to get better, which is a good thing, right? But there can be a point where it becomes debilitating. And so I think you have to be mindful of like, hey, this is healthy only if I'm you know, using it as a tool to continue to grow and want to continue to do better, and not something that turns me into like, I can't do anything, I shouldn't be here, I should just leave, you know?
Yeah.
That's my experience and like some of the things that I do when it's coming up. What about you?
Well, let's see. What did I do yesterday? I cried. That's no surprise for me. I think the hardest thing about imposter syndrome is pulling yourself out of it and having that 10,000 foot view of your situation. So I think a lot of imposter syndrome is related to achievements that you're like striving towards. And I think that's because none of us spend enough time recognizing the wins that got us to our current position. And our culture, even though we're actively trying to fight against it a lot of the time, our culture is very focused on hitting goals, always growing, always doing better. You know, it staying even like flatlining in your progress is not even celebrated anymore. You know, if you're not doing better, what's a quote? If you're not growing, you're dying. Like,
if you're not first, you're last. Ricky Bobby.
If you're not first, you're last. Yeah. So I think that also feeds into a lot of imposter syndrome, because if you are, you know, growing or getting marginally better at your role time over time, generally more responsibilities are being put on your plate or more opportunities to grow are being presented to you, which sounds great in theory and is kind of what we're hardwired to do. But if you don't take the time to kind of enjoy the level you're at and recognize like the success that got you there, then it feels like you're always trying to do better. Like you've never hit, like essentially the goalpost just keeps moving.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I can't never score. Like every time I get good enough to score, you move the goalpost on me. So I think building in plateaus, recognizing that the plateaus in your career or the plateaus in your role are healthy and allow you to continue building confidence in your position, confidence in yourself, being able to recognize wins easier because maybe they're happening more frequently. Celebrating all of those things, allowing yourself to mentor other people, because now you are mentor other people without also struggling with your own growth. You know what I mean? Like it's okay to just be the best at something and being like, yeah, I don't have capacity to learn anything new right now, but I'm gonna train all these people, and then like it doesn't all have to be happening all the time. Movement does not have to be constant. You can take a breather. I think that helps with imposter syndrome, because then like it's the same thing you're saying, but it's just a reminder to people that it's not bad if you're not growing for a minute. You're not. Everyone says if you're not growing, you're dying, but like I live in a climate where the trees die every winter. You know, the plants all die for a minute so they can come back stronger. You know, so
yeah.
That's my.
I think it also 7 cents. It also reminds me of like the curse of knowledge. Like sometimes we fail, like it's hard for us to remember that things that we're good at and come easily to us don't necessarily come easy to other people. And so we can like fail to acknowledge our value because it just feels easier. It feels like anyone can do this. Like, why are they paying me to do this? It's like, well, it's not that easy and not everyone can do that. You just have this like curse of knowledge that you think everyone knows this, but not everyone knows this, you know?
Yeah.
And so then you like devalue your own strengths and skills when they're actually very valuable or helpful or like something that your company really does need. They hired you, right? Like they hired you for a reason. You were qualified for what they were looking for. You shared their values. So now that you're in and doing the work, you're questioning your own value. And I think it's a reminder, like a good reminder to be like, oh yeah, just because this is easy for me or like feels simple, like that's why I'm the one doing it. You know, it doesn't devalue what I bring to the table. So I struggle with that often. Like I think that like just because I know something that like everyone else knows it too. But they don't.
Mm-hmm. No, we don't. Actually, we don't know most of the things that you know.
And then I'll have like a conversation with someone and they're like, mind blown. And I'm like, really? Like, what? What did I say that was like mind blown?
Yeah.
And that's like not, and that's true for most people. Like we all have something that other people can't, you know, they can't do it the way you do it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So just a reminder.
Love
You're
it.
probably great at something.
You're definitely
just too
great
good at it now.
At lots of things.
Yeah.
Enjoy the ease of being great at lots of things.
Right? I'm really good at very few things, which is,
yeah,
that's fine too, you know?
Yeah, we do at Clockwork, everyone does like the Clifton Strengths Assessment, and it gives you like your top 5 or your top 10 strengths. And it literally says in the report, like, forget about everything else because you're only going to get good enough at those things to be mediocre at them. Lean into the things that you are really good at and just let the rest fall by the wayside because somebody else, those are their top strengths.
Right. So like, why are you trying to look at the bottom 5? Like, just look at your top 5. Fuck all these other things, right? Like you're
good.
You're going to get incrementally better if you spend a ton of time focused on those things, and it's just not worth it. It's not a good use of your time, your energy, your mental headspace, you know, because like, it's not fun to not be good at something.
No.
This is why I only play sports I can win, you know? That's not a good trait, actually. Don't take that advice. That's terrible.
No, don't listen to her.
The Enneagram 3 in me, and it's a fault, and I'm aware of it, and I'm working on it, okay?
You sound like I have to talk to my children of being like, we can't be sore winners and sore losers, children, okay? So you need to learn that sometimes we're just playing the game for fun.
What does that mean? Like, what's fun if I'm not winning, you know?
The ride, the experience along the way.
Like, this is like, when I started to learn about the Enneagram, this was something that like really helped me understand how I was showing up in life in a very not healthy way. Was like, I would go to like something fun or like a beach day with friends or something, and people would be playing like beach volleyball, for example.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, you want to play? Oh, no, I'm good. I don't play that. And they're like, well, you're so athletic. Like, you love to play. I'm like, yeah, I love to play sports, but like, I'm not playing that. And then once I started to learn about the Enneagram, I learned why I was sitting out. Like, I'm sitting out because I've never played beach volleyball before. Like, I am not good at beach volleyball. So I'm going to have to show up and not be the best at this game, potentially lose, potentially be the worst on the whole field, whatever it's called, like be really like, that's a pretty vulnerable for me as a 3. Like, I want to be seen as the best. I want you to pick me as your number 1. When we play kickball, like, I'm number 1. I'm playing that game because I know I'm going to be good. But beach volleyball, I'm not so sure that I can be good. And if I can't be 100% sure that I'm going to be the best, I don't even want to play.
Yeah.
And I just realized that, like, I was missing out on fun because I was so focused on, like, being seen as the best or, like, being the best, you know? And I'm like, why don't you just have fun? But it was just, like, not in my DNA.
And I think this is, like, a little mini therapy session, as our calls often are, is, like, you also don't let those around you then see you be anything but the best. So then they expect, oh, you're athletic, you'll be good at this. Like, you know, like, they've never seen you do anything just for fun.
Right. And
so then they also bolster your expectations of being only the best, you know?
Yes.
You need to let exposure therapy to failure.
I know, because then their expectations of me also
that you're athletic, so you'll crush it.
I have to uphold this because, they see me already as this very athletic person, or you played sports, like, you'll be good at this. And then what if I'm not good at this? Then I'm going to disappoint them. Then they're going to think differently of me. So, like, it's better if I just preserve the image by not playing, you know?
Good times. So next time we get together, we're going to play beach volleyball.
Okay.
In Oregon, it'll be freezing.
Perfect. All right. 3rd and final story. My boss asked me to send him hourly work updates before logging out daily. How should I deal with this? I've been working from home for a month now because of some personal issues. It's been 9 months since I started working at this company. I've already let them know that this is not going to be a good fit for me to be able to share hourly updates. But how do I approach dealing with this with my boss, that I'm supposed to send hourly updates every day of, like, what I've done that day? Yeah. Sounds like they're in a remote work situation. So maybe there's the added mistrust issue of, like, if they're not here in the office, they're not doing anything.
Meanwhile, let's talk about how much time is wasted in offices. So I think for some people, I think I would approach the boss of, like, what is it that you need? What is it, the information that you're looking to find? I don't think that this is the most efficient way for you to get that information. Is your team using any sort of project management or anything like that would allow the boss to have the transparency into the work being done? Have you ever missed a deadline? Have you ever not met expectations? Have you ever set any precedent in the past that would warrant a little extra supervision? Be honest with yourself about if you have or if you haven't. And if you have, and you're remote and it's not intended to be a remote position and everyone's adapting, I think we need to find a way to kind of meet in the middle. Hourly updates is super micromanagey, but if you don't have a project management tool or any sort of visibility into anyone else on the team seeing what you're doing, it's not surprising that they're looking for some sort of visibility. In my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, are they looking for progress updates on certain things? Like, maybe instead of hourly updates of everything you did, it could just be an end of day progress report of, like, here's where we're at on these projects. Like you said, if there's a project management system, then hopefully there's transparency in that project management system to just see the progress of those things. But maybe there's an opportunity for improvement there if there's not, the transparency of progress on things. And it should be
for the whole team then, not just you.
Yes. Yeah. And then the other thing is, like, obviously maybe there's the need for, like, a 1 week or something time tracking, or, like, what are they specifically looking for? Like, could we track our time versus giving hourly updates just so that you can show them, kind of what a week looks like, where your time is spent, how to be more efficient with your time. Just, this could be a more productive way to maybe give him some of the information that he's looking for. Because then you can at least do something with it versus, like, just every hour having to, like, send him what I did this past hour. Like, it feels very stressful. Yeah. And I was talking to Tyler about, like, in office working, and because he's remote now with his new job, and he's like, man, I really miss working like at an office because I have to be at my computer. He's like, I'm just at my computer all day working, and it's a lot versus like when you're in the office, there's time to like go to someone else's desk, or like you go to the water cooler and you shoot the shit. Like there's actually way less work happening typically in an office. And I was like, you're so right. Like in an office, there's a lot more, like you can just walk around aimlessly. And like I used to do that. Like,
go to the printer, go to the washroom.
Yeah. Take a lap around the building just to, you know, like
stretch your legs for a minute. Yeah.
Stretch my legs.
Yeah.
Go talk to the admin because she's got all the gossip.
Oh, I got to ask you a question about this. 20 minutes later, you're talking about Bravo.
What Johnny did. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And I mean, I've worked both in offices and remote, and there's pros and cons to both, you know. But I would say the expectation for remote employees for most positions, not all positions, to be completely green light on for like the entire workday. It's just not. What about going to the bathroom? Like,
no.
You know, like it just doesn't compute. What if your phone rings? So there's people who I fell down the rabbit hole of this, but there's people who like rig they set up like code on their computer to keep their mouse moving. Or someone takes their, like, you know, you can get massage guns for home. They like put their mouse on that so that it keeps the mouse shaking, you know?
So that it just stays green
so
all
the
day?
Green light stays on Teams. I think for Teams users, that green light is Teams seems to have a whole different culture than Slack in terms of, like
expectations.
You'll always talk about like, oh, people just call each other on Teams. Like never once have we I would just call someone on Slack and be like, oh, your light's on, like hello. You're gonna answer your you have to answer my call right now. Like,
yeah, like when are they working if everyone can just interrupt them all the time?
Right? It's wild to me. Teams just has it's a different world.
If you're on the computer, excuse me, if you're on the computer and you're working, but you're not in Slack, like Slack is open, it's still gonna show green light, right?
I think so. Let's see. You're lit up in Slack right now. I'm in Slack, so it doesn't count for me, but you're lit up in Slack.
I just opened it like a minute ago, though, so I wonder how long.
Right. Our whole team is lit up right now. I just
wonder if, like, after 15 minutes of not touching Slack, like, is... Right. But I'm on my computer, I'm working.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyway.
I don't care. Like, I don't... Because I also don't necessarily assume that just because someone is grayed out, like,
or that they're not working.
Yeah, like they could be doing something that
they close their Slack because they need to focus, which is encouraged. You know, if you need focus time, close out of Slack, go do your work, come back in a couple hours. You know, none of us have none of the questions that we need from each other are that time sensitive that you would need to reply instantaneously. And if there is some sort of instantaneous emergency, you could text me.
That's a deeper problem. Yeah.
Right. And that emergency would be the economy. Like the internet is being hacked. You know? Like
yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know if we answered this question. Oh yeah. Reply. What are you looking for? What's the best way to get this information to you? Offer solutions that are a little bit more efficient and a little bit less invasive than hourly reports. And go from there, see what their answers are. If they're questioning your productivity and you've never given them a reason to, then I would say that to them.
Have that conversation too.
Yeah.
Well, that's all we've got today.
Okay.
If anyone is interested in joining us in the How to CEO program, they can go to learnhowtoceo.com. It's still open.
Yes.
I think for the next week, few days.
When does this air?
Enrollment ends on April 15th. So whenever you're listening to this, you can go and check out the info on the page. We'd love to have you. It's for small business team owners as well as leaders within the organization to help you with the people side of your operation. So helping you develop better leadership, and developing better leadership and becoming a better leader is a choice. And we would love for you to make that choice, because what was this statistic I read in Forbes? There was like an article in Forbes, and it was like 70% of people, or like, it's like 70% of employees are like, their mental health is more impacted by
their manager
than by their therapist or like anyone else in their life or something.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's a huge responsibility to be a manager, to be a leader in the workplace. And we should take that seriously, and we should try to become better. Right.
Also, just
if you don't want that responsibility, then you shouldn't be a leader. Like, I really just think you shouldn't. You should step away, and it's probably better for everyone if you're not trying to become better and actively investing in yourself and in your tools and in your trainings. Like, then just stop, because it really is people's lives that you're messing with here.
I just read a stat this morning that was 40% of team members will leave because of poor leadership. That's almost half. It means if you've worked with 10 people before, 4 of them have potentially left because of you, just because of you.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah. So learn how to CEO.com.
Yes.
We would love to have you in there and support you on becoming a better leader. And we'll see you next week. See you next Tuesday.
We'll see you next Tuesday.